Pass on the love, the kindness, the precious gift of human life. Those were the words from my son's last letter home. Mark Allen Lee was the first Navy SEAL killed in Iraq August 2nd, 2006, and Chris was one of Mark's teammates who courageously fought with him and was with him when he died. Mark's final gift to me was his teammates. There was a bond between Mark and Chris that would not be severed by Mark's death. Chris didn't even have to consider stepping into Mark's boots and fulfilling the role of taking care of me. He knew it was the right thing to do. He adopted me, and I adopted him, and thus began the birth of a relationship that is hard to describe. We all know the national hero and the mighty warrior Chris was, but I want to share with you another side of Chris Kyle that those close to him saw every day, and is the reason why he did what he did on the battlefield. I want to share with you Chris's huge heart, full of compassion, love, generosity. He gave selflessly. I remember having a conversation with Chris after my son, Christopher, told me that when he completed his master's, he would probably be moving back to Japan, where he met his wife and all of her family was. Without hesitation, Chris replied, "Mama Lee, that happens, you come live with us." I remember my chuckle at that time that said, "Oh, how sweet." To which Chris matter-of-factly replied, "I'm serious." Chris has told me numerous times, "Mama Lee, you are part of the Kyle family." I'm reminded of Christ when he hung on the cross. John 19:26-27. When Jesus saw his mother there and the disciple whom he loved standing nearby, he said to her, "Woman, here's your son." And to the disciple, "Here's your mother." From that time on, this disciple took her into his home. That's what Chris did for Mark. That is what Chris did for me. I remember the day I was in a meeting with Governor Brewer at the state capitol and looking at my phone and seeing that it was Chris. I excused myself to take the call. After all, my boys take top priority. We chatted for a while, and then Chris told me that he wanted to make sure Kelly and I were taken care of, and that he was donating the proceeds from the book to us. I was speechless, overwhelmed and in tears. I knew that Chris deeply loved Mark and Ryan, and that I was like family to him. But his love and generosity revealed that in an over-the-top way. Chris didn't publish that book for an income or to be famous. He hated the spotlight. Chris did that for his teammates, to take care of his buddies, and use that platform that God gave him to encourage our nation, to remember the sacrifice our troops make for you and for me every day, and the responsibility we have to take care of them and their families when they return home. Chris wasn't wealthy. He didn't take a salary from Kraft. He didn't give out of abundance. It was a sacrifice that he selflessly gave to repay the sacrifice his teammates had made. He trusted that God would provide for him and his family. Chris's heart of compassion gave to help our wounded warriors, and his last act was evidence of that. Chris lived day in, day out, on the battlefield and off, giving selflessly. 2 Corinthians 9:13 says, "Because of the service by which you have proved yourself, others will praise God for the obedience that accompanies your confession of the gospel of Christ, and for your generosity in sharing." Chris Kyle, you proved yourself, son. And today we praise God for your obedience, for your love, for your compassion and generosity. We will see that Taya, the kids, and the family are taken care of, and we will continue to echo your voice and take care of our troops and their families. The night Mark died, God led me to Psalms 27, and I would encourage each of you to read it when you go home. But verse 13 and 14 says, I would have lost hope if I had not believed I would see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Wait on the Lord. Be of good courage, and he will strengthen your heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord. Hoo-yah, Chris Kyle.